Okay, we have 4 months left now to the Leaving Cert, and I'm going to talk about initially paper number 2. And there are 4 questions on paper 2, so there are 4 things you want to be careful of and to watch. And you've loads of time to revise the following 4 areas. In relation to paper 2, we'll start with the leithfishkant. Nothing can beat practice. I would say to students, go back over various years, watch especially that question you can prepare before you go in, question 6A, the Imshik. There may be only 1 of 15 or 16 things they can ask you. Make sure you have them all wrote off. It's not going to deviate from that. But then also students will need great practice in question 6B. In other words, genre lettriata, what type of the writing will be implied. There are 10 marks going for this, and students have to put this answer in their own words. So if you look back at previous year, there's a type of pattern. Each year they've asked the same question. So what you're doing is you're getting practice maybe how to begin a sentence, what points you make in other words, is piece of Irishoratha, piece of journalism, bhí sé an Sea of Grayson, was on the website, níl sé parsanta, it's not personal, or tá sé neamh parsanta. So these, you've loads of time to do this, but the only thing about this question is it's totally unseen. So students are always anxious about this, and that would be the only one question that will be testing on paper 2. You then move on to question number 2, and that would be the prose. Again, with the prose, nothing can beat having read the story or watching the film. There's a lovely film on Cockamillish, and I would say to students, maybe watch it once a week from now to the exam, because anything you answer, if you're asked on that film, will be based on visual or auditory perception. That'd be very, very important. And in other words, what you're doing is you're showing the examiner that you've seen it over and over and over again. In the other prose stories, make sure that you're convincing the examiner, number one, that you've understood the question. You'll do that because you'll stick rigidly to the topic that you're being asked. And also try and get back, while you don't have to quote, try and use the vocabulary back from the piece as much as you possibly can, because that's the only way you can really prove to me or to the corrector that you have read the piece. Again, there are only really 4 pieces outside the film, so again, students have a lot of time for that. Moving on to the poetry section, make sure you know the themes in all the 5 poems, the feelings in the poems, in relation maybe to Spalpeen Fauna, because it's an old poem. Make sure that, because it's written in type of Old Irish, that when you read it, that you can translate it. All the poems are going to be printed on the paper. Whatever poem you get is going to be printed. So really, the student has everything there to help you. But if you can't translate the poem, you've no help at all. Look perhaps at previous questions that have been asked. It isn't definite, but by and large, it could be a rule of thumb that it's very unlikely they would ask the same type of question again, and there's a huge number left. And then we move on to question number 4, and that would be, you have a choice on that. By far the most popular will be on Threel, the play. So if you have studied on Threel, make sure that you know your characters. And also I say to students, like take a choice, say some of the characters that were good, some of the characters that were bad, because they're not just going to always give the good people or always give the bad. Make sure you have an equal spreading. And there's one question that students should just maybe have a look at. It was very popular up to 2012. It hasn't featured since, and that would be the dramatical techniques. There are 9 of them, so once you have roughly about 7 or 8, you should be well covered for that question. In relation to paper 1, students always seem to get very uptight about paper 2. And in fact, as paper 1 is the one they want to watch, because everything on paper 1 is going to be unseen. Paper 1 will be divided into 3 sections. There will be the ashta at the top, and then there will be the scale, the B. I think most teachers advise students not to pick the B one. I feel myself it's for more the weaker type of student, because a lot of students are afraid that they won't understand the titles in the essays or the debate or the speech, and that's why they opt for the scale. So really it's for possibly the student who isn't looking for the H1 or just hoping, fingers crossed, that they will pass it. So I'm inclined to bypass the B section. Remember too that there will be a debate on. We can't ever guarantee a student a certain poem, but we can guarantee you the debate, because it will be there on the paper. And also the very last title is a speech. Not many students will opt for the last title, and it's an awful pity, because in the speech at the end you're not cornered. You can give the bantosh, the agus mi bantosh, the advantages and disadvantages, and you can talk on 2 sides of the topic, the good points and the bad. But in the debate you're in a corner, and you're either are son, no in I, Gaelic an Rún. A lot of students will have been preparing certain topics, say for the oral. Certainly I'd make sure you have something maybe prepared in relation to Brexit. Make sure also homelessness, in my opinion, is very, very important. And by and large, there will always be a type of open topic where a student can weave in an essay that they have prepared that isn't directly asked, but they want to be very, very careful that there's now a line that they actually give you on the cover of paper one, and that is there has to be a Kangol Kintalanunag, a definite continuous connection between the title that you have picked and the subject that you write upon. If you go off the point, you could possibly lose everything, so just be very careful on that.